Hello everyone, my name is Suzanne Abuel. I am head of the jazz department and I'm very happy to welcome you to the live stream about our department. I have some lovely students here. They wore the right sweater without even us asking. This is Sarah. She's Sarah Rabe. She's a third-year bachelor voice student. And we have Gonzalo, and I never know your last name because Feijão, exactly. He's a double bass student in the Bachelor 2. We have main subject teacher Wolfert Brederode, pianist, and main subject bass teacher Tony Overwater. Tony also gives a whole myriad of subjects, so we'll be speaking about the curriculum as well. And I would like to start the conversation off by addressing a cliché that is always very popular about this school, that it's a very traditional school. And yes, we are a traditional school, I think. We are very connected to the tradition. And at the same time, we also value innovation. And I'm just wondering what your take about this is. Maybe we start with you, Tony.
Sure, yes. Like Wolfert, I also was a student here in school a long time ago. Let's keep it to that. Of course, it had the name of being a traditional school, but if you look at the people that are alumni on this school, they're all in quite contemporary fields, or a lot of them, and very proud of that. But I think you can always hear if somebody had a decent jazz background, even if it's in free improvisation or it's in Arabic improvisation or anything else. But I think this ground this school just gives a fertile ground to become a serious artist. So for me, the fact that it's traditional jazz is like when you go to school and you learn Latin. You know, that's just something you have to learn in order to be able to learn a lot of other things. So for me, yes, tradition, but innovation is the stuff that grows from tradition.
Yeah, thank you very much. And maybe the student's perspective, Gonzalo, what's the value for you to learn from someone like Tony, who has a very firm knowledge of tradition, and of course also is an innovator himself and a pioneer, and had a record label when no one had a record label back in the early 90s.
When they still had records.
Yeah, I think it's great that actually about the tradition part, I really find it that here we really are going traditional-wise in a perspective of jazz, because, I mean, for my understanding of it, I found that jazz is a moving thing. It's always innovating. So it's kind of the tradition to be always innovating. So if we learn in this school how jazz evolved and to get the language of jazz, and then like you give us the tools to then innovate, then you're really doing the tradition. You're keeping the tradition of jazz. And for me as a student, I'm really new to it because, I was in the classical department before, and then I started doing I checked some lessons with Tony, I did some rhythm section lessons, and I started learning a bit what was this, and I got really interested. And it was really good for me, especially to learn with Tony. It was really great because Tony also has this classical background. We shared the same teacher, Quirijn. And it's really nice to me to have someone that can really show me, like, how can I apply my technique coming from classical and my perspective on music coming from classical, and how can I shape it and apply it to the jazz world, how to learn this new language, and then what can I do with it, how can I move forward with it. And like for me, it's really important, and it's been quite a ride. And I'm a student. Sometimes, like for some teachers, I feel like I'm quite a difficult student because it's like I have a lot of questions and I like to do a lot of stuff. And Tony really helped me. Like, he goes with me in my questions, but at the same time, he tells me, like, okay, you got to do this, and you have to, shape this and do this and build this solid background. And I feel that I'm building kind of this pyramid, like with a solid ground so that I can build up. And for me, it's really great. I'm really enjoying it. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, good to hear. And it kind of all comes down to vocabulary. That's what I hear back all the time, like language, vocabulary. You don't speak a language with 3 words. So it's really, that's what it boils down to. And maybe later on we'll speak about the technique aspect as well of studying classical singing, for example, or classical double bass, and of course classical piano as well. I would like to, of course, what the school is doing is giving great curriculum and a platform for students to meet and to change and to have a network that actually lasts a lifetime. In my case, it is like this, and actually in most of our alumni's cases. And I think it's also a school's task to provide an ideal as possible learning environment. And the first clip we will show you, I asked one of our master students, what's part of an ideal learning environment? So let's hear what Tristan has to say about this.
But besides that, it's just being surrounded by really good musicians and playing and talking. And there's something I really like about the conservatory is that a lot of teachers, for me at least, plant seeds of curiosity. Like it's just they talk about something. They won't necessarily go into detail, but a lot of them have so much knowledge. And so they'll just speak about something they know about. And you're just like, what is that? You go home and do all the research and everything. And so that's a good learning environment. Just doing, working.
Yes, so seeds of curiosity, I found is such a wonderful term. And we have many students who are doing different things. They are, of course, great performers, so great drummers in Tristan's case, but then in his case also, he's a fantastic pianist as well. He's an arranger and a composer, and probably we all love these kind of students. By the way, we also love the students with questions. So it's really, those are the students we love, of course. And maybe from your perspective, doing all these kinds of things yourself as well, in the piano department, how would you say, how is this stimulated, the fact of working on your own material as well, being a complete musician, having a great technique, learning about theory as well, harmony, you know, the whole package? What do you think about this?
Yeah, I personally hope to inspire them to check out as much as possible. You know, not only jazz, but also go to listen to classical, go to sonology, old music, you know, and accumulate that and see what you can use in your own music, you know, and if you can apply it to it, you know, and that's especially in the later years, so the 3rd year, you see then very students developing in a very original way. Somebody chooses more minimalistic elements. And I try to support that and also give them directions, like if they say, okay, actually I feel like really going in this direction, then I hope that I can provide them with, okay, this might be inspirational for you, and I try to work on their own material. And that's very nice to see that the broadness of interest, you know, it's in the tradition, but also in more modern developments, other kinds of music. So yes, I hope, and I think most of the teachers do that, is stimulating that, you know, check out as much as possible and make it one whole.
Yeah, and that's what students often say, like not only Tristan, but many of our students say, I mean, teachers are like inspirators to check things out. And I mean, in the piano department, it's the secondary subject is usually classical piano, and I always found, now I saw the exams, the final presentation in secondary subject is 25 minutes of repertoire playing. Yeah. Right. And so it's much more than technique. Can you say just a few words about that?
Well, yeah, it's long, 25 minutes, but it's really nice because I think the 2 classical teachers we have teaching side subject,
Bert Mooijman and Wim Vogt.
Yes, they also really are interested in what they're doing jazz-wise and how they're on, and they try to adapt in the final presentation, they adapt the repertoire a bit to it. So it could be that John Cage is being played. You know, it's not just the classical, some technical Bach, and you know, it's well, same as you. It's also very original recitals, and I was curious myself, like, whoa, what's that composer? So that's very nice. So we make sure, and we also have contact with, of course, a lot of contact with the classical teachers, that it's kind of connected, that we know what they're doing, and we always try to emphasize that it's really, this classical playing can really help, you know, bringing ideas to you and sound, especially to your jazz playing.
So it's much more than technique, and it's also that sense of discovery, discovery of repertoire and horizon of knowing what was before us and what is happening right now, of course, with the composition department and other departments that we collaborate with. Yeah, I would like to show a little clip now of Tristan again. I mean, I have to defend myself in using Tristan so much because Tristan was the first drummer that graduated with a 10, and he also was the winner of the folk medal. That name is not so beautiful, but the medal is good. It's the best overall graduation of the entire school, and he recorded in Kees van Barnsaal some of his own material, so we listen just to an excerpt. And on this clip, you also see José Cervera, the alto saxophone player, an alumnus of us. So that's also really special that alumni and current students and teachers work together. We just finished the community week. Later on, Catherine Koch, head of master research, will also join us. She did the first ever Baroque jam with jazz students, which was really a fantastic experience. So the community of expertise that we have in the departments, that we have in the teachers, in the faculty, but also in the students, whatever they bring, I think is really special. And I think we make it a point that there is no real separation. Of course, the teacher is the teacher and the student is the student, but they collaborate with each other. And I just have a very small clip of an example of that, or actually two clips. One is Chuck Seng Lam, a master student, alto saxophone, doing a recording with Eric Ineke. So we listen to that one first. Yeah, welcome back. We have teachers that are really interested in teaching. So, of course, like Eric Ineke, he is playing all over the place, not only in Holland, in normal times I'm talking, and internationally as well. But we also have, I mean, most of our teachers, all of our teachers have a long background of educators and of being dedicated in that domain as well. And we will listen to another nice, wonderful excerpt of our vocal teacher, Yvonne Smeets, with a student that she chose to accompany her. Just an excerpt of that.
Say, what did I do and what did I say that ever could lead you to treat me this way? If I've been untrue, I'm willing to pay. And darling, if that's not enough, I'll do anything you say. Darling, please, wherever you may be, hear my plea and hurry home to me. I know without your love, I just can't go on. I wonder where our love has gone.
Yes, welcome back. This was Yvonne Smeets and Jonas Panen. And just yesterday in the Community Week, you were teaching with Yvonne. Can you tell something about that? About this team teaching you did?
Oh yeah, we had a really nice time in looking at the relationship between text and music, and to look at it from two different sides. So obviously you have a composition and you write a lyric on top of it, but what happens if you pick a poem and you're going to make music with that? And we had two different combos, and they each had their own take on this poem, and it was very funny actually, and very different how they approached it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really nice.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Sarah, maybe you want to say something about being a vocal student as well. There's always, the big discussion, are vocalists musicians as well, and they have a certain curriculum that is maybe different in certain areas, but of course they follow all the same theory package and educational skills. And what does that mean for you to study, to kind of try to fit in both of these worlds?
It's an interesting question, actually. I feel like the conservatory is very open here to actually educate us all as to become musicians. And I really appreciate that. So to be honest, this was also why I chose the Hague Conservatory, because I saw my curriculum. I'm all the time with instrumentalists and I'm always in mixed groups. So I also learned to be a composer, to arrange for big bands, to play piano, like a lot of stuff where I felt like, this is actually great, because I want to become a musician and not just vocalist. But of course, vocals is my instrument. So you have to face some things that are special about this instrument. And there are moments, especially in combo settings, where you will feel this, because we cannot just push the button and be in tune or change the key like this. Sometimes you have a feel for the music, how you practice it or something. And I feel there's a sensitivity that we need for our instrument as vocalists, but also the others would need, also some teachers would need to handle it in a different way sometimes. And I know there are really nice approaches, like I'm very happy where I am now with, but I know that there was some struggle for me personally in the first years to find my role, and also to stand up there's still a lot of traditional jazz music and bebop especially, which is instrumentally written, you know?
Yeah.
And then sometimes the lyrics come later, or you write lyrics and you can suggest them, which makes it easier to find your role in a setting like this. But there will always be people who will kind of fight for the old traditional way to say, but there was no singer, so sorry, you have to wait now, you know? And it even can happen to you in a masterclass that you come with so much enthusiasm and you're like, yeah, great, there's a new teacher, I want to see what he's teaching or she. And then actually they just suggest tunes where there are no lyrics. So what do you do? Of course we learn to sketch. So I think this is definitely a thing which is helpful, to have harmonic awareness and also to become an instrument sometimes and to use this as well. But it's also good to stand up for yourself sometimes, and maybe to suggest to write lyrics for the next session, something like that, no?
Yeah,
And,
but you address something very important, that you kind of take, you're kind of proactive in this situation, and you think, how can I solve it to make it good? Because we have so many ensembles that have very different focuses all the time and always mixed levels, which we find is also important, that you learn from each other and you learn from the skills. And I know that, I think you were at a masterclass with Tony in the summer. Can you say something about this?
Which was outside of the conservatory?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. This is really inspiring that we are also getting information about classes or master classes or summer schools somewhere else. So in this case, I went to a summer week for Oriental music, where Tony is also teacher, and then a lot of great artists from Syria and Lebanon were there. So for me, this was really mind-blowing, to be honest, because we talked about before that it's a traditional school, and yes, we need to learn the basics in the first, especially for my field, the first 2 years.
You not only need to, you want to.
Yes, I want to. No, I really want to. I feel it really helps. What you said is completely true. It's a language, and we need to learn the basic skills, but it's really inspiring to go in other fields, and maybe you can collect other ideas of music, of in this case Oriental music or world music, and it's great because our teachers are also offering things outside of the conservatory, and for me this was really great to see. Also in Oriental music the singer has a different role. For example, it was new to me that if there is a soloist, that I can do backings. I don't know, I didn't experience it here before. And now I have a different view. If there are soloists, I can also do backings like a saxophone player, do lines, but then you get new ideas of it actually.
And I saw that in your secondary subject exam as well. That's why these secondary subjects, it's a little bit not a very lucky name for the subject, because it's actually auxiliary subject that helps the main subject somehow. And then in these classes you also address many different, much different repertoire that, like you say, enriches your musical world. So I've seen it in your case as well. I would like to speak about the projects we are doing. We do, of course, big band projects, about 5 a year. We had different conductors this year. We had Philippe Maniez, we had John Rocco, and he's going to be back in April. We also had Miho Hazama, who works with the Metropole Orchestra. But we also had the Aspire Project Week with teachers coming in, external teachers coming in. We just had the Community Week. I think we have a clip also from Emmett Cohen. We did a masterclass with the trio, so not only with one person, but with a trio. And that was really interesting because we could go to the studio as well. We collaborate very closely with the Art of Sound department. And in this case, it was a masterclass and then a recording in the studio. So we'll listen to a short clip of that.
Next, we'd like to play a Wayne Shorter composition. This is called This Is for Albert, featuring Rick, Pietro, Danilo, Dani, Arjun, and Kyle Poole.
Yes, so these were mostly master students with main subject teacher Rick Moll, trumpet teacher. That was a very, very interesting experience after one afternoon to go into the studio. We have, I think, a great community of students. Just recently, our students organized themselves the goodbye party of the Erasmus students. That was something that moved me very much. It was the first time in 20 years in higher music education that I saw something like that. You know, the students themselves actually asked, hey, can we organize this? And all the Erasmus students performed. So we have a lot of student-led initiatives as well. For example, the vocal night was an example like this, where the students got together and organized a whole concert program by themselves, the recording as well, and they felt responsible for it. So we do value these kind of initiatives, and I would like to show a short clip of that vocal night of Ania Krivionoka with her ensemble that she composed and arranged for strings and students from all different departments. Yes, so we're back and we welcome Catherine Koch on the table. She's head of research in the master and also teacher in the early music department, harpsichordist. And you're teaching the Introduction to Artistic Research course, among many other things. So we'll speak about the master curriculum in just a second. I first want to address also something that is very dear to me in the bachelor, that is all the opportunities that students have in the free space. they can choose electives. They can choose electives, of course, that we are offering, or they can go to Leiden University, do electives there. They can go do Code Arts elective, and they can do minors, 3-year programs in different departments, or minor secondary instrument in the jazz department if they are multi-instrumentalists. So there's a whole spectrum of possibilities in the free space. And I wanted to ask you, Gonzalo, how do you make use of that?
Yeah, for me, it's really nice that we have these opportunities, because as a student, for me, it's really cool because like I said, about all the questions, and this actually gives me some answers that sometimes my teachers can't give me, because it's something that I really have to explore. I came from classical and I came to jazz, but also not just because I really like jazz, but also because I like music as a whole. And these electives really give me the possibility to explore. Like now I'm doing electives in the music production, so art of sound electives. And actually there we do some mixes of all the styles, so I really explore what's behind the music of those styles of music. If I could go, for example, to flamenco music. I have a friend who is there doing it, Antonio, and he's loving it. And it's great because I really see answers coming. You know, I was like, do I really like this? How much do I like this? How much time do I want to spend on this? And I'm second year now, so it's like this time where I'm really getting to know jazz, and then on the third and fourth year, maybe I am more free to explore myself as an artist. But I already have kind of an idea of where do I want to go in the next 2 years.
Sure.
And as like maybe not as a student, but as someone that looks at the school, and maybe someone from outside, it's really nice to see different projects happening and how the students are moving themselves as artists. Like Antonio again, it's like he's building his own project with flamenco music, mixing jazz and flamenco music, but also with his own compositions. And it's really great to see that. And I mean, that wouldn't be happening for sure if he hadn't the opportunity of doing this elective in Code Arts. And for me, I had this recording device, like I have the microphones and the audio interface at home. Yeah. And I learned a lot of stuff that really helps me to do like a basic recording, which is something really important for musicians.
So it's kind of a way, what I hear you say also is that it's a way to personalize the curriculum, because in the bachelor, the curriculum is quite general, and everyone kind of has to do the same. But in the free space, it's possible to personalize based on affinities and talents and interest, of course.
Personalizing, it's a key word, especially when we are in a art school, and that's something that I find it really important.
Not in a heart, but in art. You mean?
But in an art school, is that you build artists. You know, not just musicians or music players, but artists. And if you personalize it as much as you can, then you're really building it artists. You know.
For sure. This gives us a really great intro for the master, because in the master it's really all about personalizing and an individual question, a research question, and artistic research that is connected to the art and has an artistic outcome. So maybe first to you, Catherine, do you want to say something? Could you say something about how the 3 domains of artistic development and research and professional preparation, integration actually it is in the master, how they work together?
Sure. It was wonderful what you said about creating artists. And what we hope to do in the master is to create inquisitive, curious, thinking artists who are able to communicate not only through their playing and performing, but also verbally and in writing and in film. So we have a great master program that we're very proud of, and it has 3 main points. Actually, it's sort of like a triangle. It doesn't need to be a fixed triangle. It can move a little bit. And the top part is artistic development. Let's face it, that's what we're here to do, right? To become compelling, communicative artists. So that's number 1 focus. But then the other 2 points are professional integration, getting students out of the building, getting students to create their own projects and to build their network and to build their community, but to give them the tools to do that. And my department is responsible for artistic research. Academic research, yes, and artistic research. Some students are searching for a stepping stone to maybe a PhD program or another type DMA program in the US or Canada, and we provide them with the skills to do that. But most of the students are working on artistic research, which is actually a question. We love questions. Questions lead to answers, and that's where we hope students will find that question that's connected to their instrument, their art, their style, the development of their style, their combo, their orchestra, their ensemble. And we give them a year and a half the time to investigate that. And we provide them with a research supervisor. We will provide them with a safe environment, a master circle. Tony is one of our master circle leaders. It's a safe environment where students can talk about research together with the help of someone who will lead the discussion. And we teach them how to speak about what they're doing, how to write about it, how to film it, and give them the opportunity to present in a symposium, which is basically an internal festival or research conference which I love. It's a whole week long where I sit as a chairperson, and I'm proud of what our students have achieved, and I watch them stand up there and tell the world what they've been investigating.
Thank you so much. So fascinating. And you have a lot of experience, Tony, with coaching as well in different functions, like the master circle leader, but you're also main subject teacher. Can you give some examples of what has been researched or what within jazz?
Well, I actually, when I did this school, there was no bachelor-master thing, so I did my master only 2 years ago, and Catherine was my supervisor. So I was both a student and a teacher, and I hope to stay like that for the rest of my life, but because it's incredible what things you can investigate. So yes, it's really interesting with the questions that people come to. So I now have two students that I'm a supervisor of, two master students, and one of them is combining Chinese philosophy with jazz, which is really interesting, with playing bass guitar. And the other one is combining rhythm and movement with classical string players, violin, viola. So very different subjects and incredible journeys that these individuals go through. So that's really very nice. Yeah.
You are also teaching historical development, and you teach
educational skills.
Educational skills. You also teach a student now who is doing a minor, a cellist, I believe, and she's doing a minor in jazz bass. And you said that she's really fantastic, and you integrate her also in the rhythm section class, I guess. Yeah.
Well, it was just a student now who wants to become a singer, and he said, "But my dream is also I play French horn. I want to improvise on French horn. Is that possible in this school?" I said, "Well, sure it is. I mean, that's typically something that we like." And my student, cello student, is wanted to do minor jazz. She's an extreme positive example of how that works, and she will become quite somebody, I think, in the future. Yeah, it's really interesting to see that, and the curiosity which we had in the beginning is such an important thing. And I think what Gonzalo said is right on the point. We're not developing musicians. We're developing artists. I think that's what makes this school a little bit outstanding.
Yeah, indeed. And you are working with master students as well. Now we have 4 master piano students. They're all very different. They're all kind of doing different projects, different research, a little bit like you were describing, research questions. In the example of Alceo, for example, he's already very, very active. And he's actually a very introverted person, but still he succeeds in going out and getting his projects, even in COVID times, heard. Can you say something about this teacher-student relationship? Which way do you support this as well as a main subject teacher?
Yeah, well, this example for Seo, he's both the Japanese and Austrian, and he tries to integrate his Japanese background and Japanese folk music, ancient music, and also Japanese instruments into his ensembles. So, and that gives a very interesting color, which of course support and help him. I've helped him there with his compositions and harmonizing and looking for certain colors. So I think I've never seen this before, and I think it really works out beautifully because he has this very solid knowledge of jazz tradition, but is also a good composer, is aware of his background. So yeah, so that's a beautiful thing to work with.
Makes sense. I'm watching the time and I'm seeing that we're almost running out, and actually maybe there are some questions also on the chat. Of course, we would like to answer them if we can. We'll try our best. If there is a question. No questions? Okay, then I would like to say also please consult the website, because on the website, for example, for the master, please search master project proposal guidelines. Everything is very well described what you have to do. I think I also want to say that the theory exam this year, that's for the bachelor, has to be done before the deadline. That's also important to know. Everything can be done online. All our entrance exams will be online. We have 2 rounds. We first have the round of sending in videos, and then if you are good enough or assessed as good enough, you'll be doing a live online exam between the 4th and the 8th of April. We can already communicate that date. That's maybe also important. Maybe about the playing opportunities in The Hague. That's also something that always counts for students. Of course, we have collaborations with ProJazz and other promoters that book our students as opening acts for concerts. There's lots of jam sessions going on in normal times, and now it's coming back. Gonzalo, do you want to say something to end with?
Yeah, I mean, about playing opportunities, especially outside of school, I find it, The Hague, it's really alive. I mean, of course, like now, COVID times, it's difficult, but I got the chance to, like, when I was still in classical, so 3 years ago, we were kind of getting into the edge of, everything, and I remember that it was crazy. Every night there was some jazz concert happening in some of the bars, and they are all really close to each other. So it's literally like you start going into center the Grote Markt and you like listen jazz there, and it's like at least one every day, and then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday there are a couple of more, like sometimes like even 5 in one night. And during COVID times, I really found it that everyone, not just the people that were already playing live, but also always the students, like the new students, they were really going to play live and to try to play as, like, always following the rules, of course, but playing live. And there was really nice initiatives, like Tony did the tonality concerts, like getting back to jazz.
Yeah.
So yeah, and also I feel that I really feel that there is a place for everyone. For example, for me, like 2 days ago, I got called to a project in which they are going to mix Stravinsky, Gershwin, and Cole Porter. And I was like, I got a call like out of nothing, and like suddenly I have a project which is, I feel I really fit in, because I come from classical. I still like to play classical, and I like to keep up with the bow, but I'm learning this new language, and for me it's perfect to see like how they compare to each other. So,
Nice,
really
nice item to end this broadcast with. I just want to say that please get in touch with us if you want to have tryout lessons. Our address is jazz@concon.nl. I really feel like on TV now. And so jazz@concon.nl. And I just want to say thank you very, very much to Gonzalo, to Wolfert, to Sarah, who is sitting over there, to Catherine, to Tony. And we end this live broadcast from the Royal Conservatoire. I believe that jazz was the last one. So thank you very much, and see you soon in The Hague.